All right, so today we're going to talk about interesting cartridge, and yet again, this is a neck down 308. This is going to be the 7mm-08 Remington. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with Jeff Rifle's scout rifle concept, he wanted a rifle fairly lightweight, fairly short, forward-mounted scope, so it could still be reloaded with stripper clips, because this is kind of the day when bolt-action rifles were the thing. There weren't many self-loaders on the market, and certainly not ones that old Marine trusted. So he envisioned the scout rifle as a kind of do-everything rifle. It could have the power to take any game in North America, so you could hunt with it, and it was adequate for some fighting purposes. It wasn't a fighting rifle. It was primarily a hunting rifle like an outdoorsman's rifle. He wanted it in 308, but he also understood in places where military cartridges were illegal or for smaller statured shooters, they needed something else, and his choice for this was the 7mm-08. The 7mm-08 was developed in the 50s. It was brought in, it started really being developed in 1958. Thereabouts as a Wildcat cartridge, people making down 308s. Remington brought it into full-scale production in 1980, and they did several rifles for it. Their 788, their 700, of course, and their Model 7600 pumps. So I actually like the 7600 quite a bit, just personally. So it's going to be a little bit more powerful than a 243, all right? Like considerably, but not quite what a 308 is, all right? That's just kind of par for the course. Bullet weight's going to be on par with what you'd launch out of a 308. You're only talking about 5/8 of a millimeter in bore diameter here. So it's going to do what a 308 will do, but and I honestly believe the 7mm-08, because of the longer, like a projectile, a long, narrow projectile, would probably be a little bit better at range, but I'm not sure how well it'd hold its energy compared to the 308. I can't speak for sure on that. That's just a suspicion on my part. So your 140 grain bullet is looking at about 2,800 feet per second, roughly 24 and a half to 24 and a half pound-feet energy. So you look at 2,800 and 2,437 pound-feet energy. Look at these figures. 150 grain is looking at 2,650 feet per second with about 2,339 pound-feet energy. And your 175 grain bullet looking at 2,595 with 2,617. So this is absolutely not a slouch of a cartridge by no stretch of the imagination. But what it also does is it's not as loud, like not as much blast as the 308. And it's going to have less recoil. So if a 308's a little much, maybe it's because you're starting a kid or whatever, and you don't necessarily want to go as low as a 243 for whatever reason. Maybe you got a bunch of 308 brass and the ability to resize it. Just something to think about. 7mm-08, definitely a good cartridge to look at, and it's actually one I like quite a bit.